In the last video, we configured the startup class file to use application DB context, in which configuration we added the SQL Server and the connection string. In this video, I want to actually create a database. But before we create a database, we need a model that we want to add to a database. So for our sample application, let's say we want a book list in which we have an ID of the book and the book name. So we'll right click on the models and let's add a new model. So what basically happens when you add a model? In MVC application, models usually resemble a typical table in database. So if we have book.cs, this is a model in our project and it should have properties. So for properties, we'll type prop and we'll press tab twice. This is a snippet. We'll use an ID for the book. We'll use prop, tap tab again. And this time, let's make a string and we have a book name. So let's say we only want these two properties for now. ID by default is an identity. So when this gets added to the database, it will treat ID as a primary key and an auto increment identity column. Now, how do we add this book table to database? For that, we'll have to go to the application DB context, and right here, we'll have to create a public DB set, and the type here should be the class. So this should be book, and let's call this books. We'll have the getter and setter. Now once we do this, we'll save all the changes and now push these changes to the database. We need migrations. So we'll have to go to tools, we'll go to the NuGet package manager and we'll open the package manager console. Right here, we will make sure the default project is the project that we have open and we'll add migration. Now we have to give every migration a name, and these names should be as meaningful as possible. So we will say add book to database and press enter here. So this has added a migration, and if you take a look what it does, it's creating a table with ID and name. So this looks good. This is exactly what we want, and it is also setting primary key as the ID. So in order to push this to database, we have the command of update database and press enter. This will create the database, create the table and also the columns and execute all the queries. Great, this has been completed. Let me open SQL Server and see how things look there. So right here, we'll connect to the MS SQL Server local DB. We'll go to the databases and we're looking for CRUD Razor 2.1. The database has been created. If we go inside tables, there we go. We have the books table that has been created and it should have two columns. There we go. The columns are there. So everything looks as expected and we have successfully added a model to the database. So this is how we create a migration and push that to the database. Now in the next video, let's work on CRUD functionalities on our book model that we created.